problem is that ilm al-rijal is clearly bringing conclusions that are not true. Have you looked into?
How does that follow?
Yeah,
how does
yeah,
that
yeah,
follow?
yeah.
Have I looked into Ivan Su? Yeah.
Yeah. No, not Ivan Su, not Ivan Su.
Who?
Have you looked into the hadith of the banning of Mutah at the day of Khaybar by al-Zuhri?
Bro, you already know there's disagreement on that.
Disagreement on what?
On Mutah from the Sahaba and from that hadith.
No. That hadith, is the hadith reliable?
Yeah, it is.
It has a muttasil chain. It's transmitted by al-Zuhri. Is al-Zuhri reliably transmitting it or not?
Az-Zuhri's mursal hadith can be reliable with conditions.
It's not mursal, it's muttasil.
Okay.
The banning of Mutah at the day of Khaybar is transmitted by al-Zuhri, and there is good reason that this hadith is not historical.
Okay, what's the good reason?
Yeah, the good reason is that it has no corroboration. There are other textual forms of the same content which do not include the banning of Mutah at the day of Khaybar. It talks about, only donkey meat. And even in Az-Zuhri's own recension of Sirah, where he's talking about Khaybar, he doesn't include it, but he does include donkey meat. So there is no substantial reason.
You can transmit two different versions.
Yeah, no.
Can you explain my screen?
Yeah,
are you talking about the inside Muslim, brother?
Yes, this one. So there's a muttasil hadith. Yeah, there's a muttasil hadith.
I think you need to change the setting for us to see the complete screen.
No, I can see it. There's Malik from Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri from Abdullah al-Hasan.
The children of Muhammad ibn Ali and Abi.
Yes, from the Ibn Hanfiya, from his father, who is saying, obviously, is Imam Ali, who is saying that on the day of Khaybar, the Prophet prohibited Mutah and donkey meat.
Okay, so I don't see a good argument against its historicity. You're just saying that he narrates one.
Yeah, the good argument. Yes. I'll give you that. Let me.
I already heard you, bro. You said that it's not corroborated. You said that it's likely a contamination because he transmits another version that doesn't have this particular element. And then what was the other reason? That's muttasil or something.
Yeah, it's not corroborated. Yeah, it's not corroborated. Let me give you all the reasons. It's not corroborated. There are other textual forms which do not include Mut'atun Nisa. They just include banning of donkey meat at the day of Khaybar. Just let me finish, man. Let me finish. There was an early disagreement in the community on the status of Mut'ah. If the Prophet had actually announced something like that, we would expect for there to be
just an argument from silence.
Yes, let me finish. We would expect for there to be attributions to him other than Az-Zuhri. So that really increases the probability that this is not historical. So now what's the argument that we should trust Zuhri and say that he's truthful?
Yeah, none of the reasons.
What's the probability raiser?
Yeah, you're not giving good arguments. You're just giving a weak argument from silence. You're saying that there's one version that has it and the other one doesn't. And therefore, it's more likely that Az-Zuhri made it up in one version and therefore it's not historical. I mean, this is just like this is just the same like Shaktian arguments like being repackaged. I don't see any good reason to refute it.
Yeah, what's the good reason to believe Az-Zuhri is not a liar?
Well, until you give me the way my epistemological framework works is that until you give me a good reason to reject something, which
what's going to be a good reason? I should
accept it.
Yeah, what's going to be a good reason? Let's talk about good reasons.
Yes, okay, sure. So a good reason would be something like an anachronism. A good reason would be something like something being clearly polemically useful.
Yeah, a good polemical reason is that obviously it would have bolstered their case that Mut'ah is banned by the Prophet. There was an clear that there was a
No, you don't realize how that doesn't actually work, because the early Sahaba, as you already know, transmitted this disagreement, meaning there were groups of Sahaba who already accepted Mutah, and there were groups of Sahaba who thought that it was prohibited. So there was already Sahaba on both sides of the argument. If you want to say that one of them fabricated this hadith, I could just easily say, well, then the other ones fabricated anti-Mutah hadith and pro-Mutah hadith. You're not actually giving any reason for why this happened. You're just showing how it could have happened. You're not showing that it did happen. I could make up a story too. I could make up any story that I want, but that's not actually showing that it happened.
No, I'm saying in a polemical context.
There is no polemical context. Show that.
There is a polemical context insofar.
Prove it.
Okay, if you let me speak. There is a polemical there is a polemical context insofar as there is disagreement on a certain issue, right? So now,
that doesn't mean it's polemical.
Just let me finish. Obviously, okay, man, no, I don't think you're interested in it.
You're making claims that you're not substantiating. You're just saying there's a polemical context. You just assume that. What's the evidence for that? Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I'm going to be polemical in that disagreement.
Leafy, can you say that after it's done? Like, why are you interrupting?
No, because I'm not, Habibi. I'm not interrupting because I just want to interrupt. Before you open the door, and then you just wait 1 second, akhi.
You could actually wait for him to finish and then make your claim or say this is not justified.
Brother, calm down. First of all, he's also been interrupting me, and I'm fine with okay, cool. All right, so I'm fine with interruptions, and if it's for a purpose. If you're just interrupting for the sake of interrupting, that's where it's not necessary. But if you're gonna interrupt someone and you're gonna start building a house on sand, I'm gonna stop you before you start building to the 50th story and tell you, hey, 1 second, buddy, I disagree from the beginning. You have to prove this part that is crucial to your analysis. So you claim that it's polemical simply because there's disagreement. Prove that.
Are you gonna let him finish?
Yeah. So in a setting where people are disagreeing over a certain issue, it would surely fit that context if somebody comes up with a prophetic hadith and says, well, guys, see, debate fixed. There's a prophetic hadith which is saying that this was banned. So now the question is that, well, what's going to prove, what's going to show, what's going to raise the probability that this is historical? We are in a setting where a prophet supposedly announced something, but that thing goes unnoticed in the seerah literature. It's not attested in the seerah literature. It's not attested through any other means. It's only attested 100 years after the prophet, that prophet supposedly made such an announcement. Yet there exist other versions of the announcement which do not include that. What's the probability of that happening? Leafy, now don't be disingenuous. Tell me, what's the probability of that happening? That a famous figure like a prophet announces something, that thing gets recorded. All the extant recordings that we have access to, such as in the seerah literature, which we can actually trace back to early common links, does not have that particular version. Yet you have this other far-off version which has this addition. What's the probability of that addition being historical?
Yeah, it's actually just as likely as any other hadith that only has one chain and it's corroborated, because the negative factors that you're trying to bring don't actually lower the probability. Okay, you're saying because this is a common Orientalist argument. There's one version that has an element, the other version doesn't have that element. Therefore, one of them must have been what's called contaminated, or one of them must have been added in. It must have been a ziyada, right? That's polemically useful, right? And this ziyada is polemically useful. Why? Because there was disagreement about it. Well, it's just a bunch of assumptions that you're not justifying. You need to justify how it's.
Okay, I'm going to justify all the assumptions one by one.
Okay. So I've asked you to justify one, and you haven't done that. Prove that it was polemical simply because they disagreed.
Let's start from the beginning. If a famous person says something and makes a public announcement, we would expect for there to be a genuine memory of it that's independent.
Not necessarily.
Is that reasonable? No, is that reasonable?
That's not necessarily. No, sometimes yes,
nothing
sometimes
is necessarily nothing is necessarily in history.
It depends. What's more likely? Yeah, brother, I understand your point. I'm saying that's not necessarily the case in this particular argument.
Bro.
Because not everyone who was there, one second, not everyone who's there, first of all, the survivorship bias, not everyone who's there is going to remember it. Not everyone who remembers it is going to transmit it. Not everyone who transmits it, the transmission is going to survive. So just because someone said something publicly, the Prophet said a lot of things publicly, and the Prophet prohibited a lot of things publicly, that doesn't mean we expect multiple attestation of each time he does something like that. So that's not necessarily the case. It doesn't follow. You have to prove this is an expectation. You have to prove that the expectation there is reasonable. You haven't done that.
Yes. Nothing is necessary in history. So let's not talk about necessities. Let's talk about probabilities. What's more probable? That a famous, and here we are not talking about the Prophet, talking about like, I don't know how to do, like how much should you wash your hands in wudu? Like it's not something minor. It's we obviously know for a fact that just let me finish. Mut'ah was obviously something that was a point of contention, or that was something practiced in pre-Islamic Arabia. I don't think you would deny that. And it was something, which the Prophet would have known about. If we are to trust like the earlier sources, the verse in the Quran, فَمَسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْهُنَّ فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورَهُنَّ, that came in the context of Mut'ah as well. So it is obviously an important thing that the Prophet is prohibiting, right? Something which has value, or which has importance or interest, which gathers interest from people. And now this is happening on a day when the Muslims were more united than in other cases. For example, maybe a random day in Masjidun Nabawi, maybe less people would have been there. But this is a case where, the Muslim armies were gathered, if we are, to take the narrative, and it was the day of Khaybar, right? So now, if the Prophet announced something, what is the probability that it would be remembered by multiple people? What's the probability of that?
Okay. So
in this particular context, where the Muslim armies are gathered and there are people, and the topic appears to be of interest, and it has value for people, what's the probability that multiple people would at least remember it?
Okay, right. So number of claims here. First of all, the first claim is about the prior probability of a prophet making a prohibition, and then that prohibition being remembered and transmitted. Now, I can even grant you this weak argument from silence, and it still wouldn't even help you. So let me grant that to you. But I don't believe it, because that you haven't shown beyond reasonable doubt that just because the prophet made a prohibition, that it needs to be corroborated in the way that you're requiring, right? So, but anyway, let me grant it to you. No problem. Let me grant it to you, because it still doesn't even help you. Now, you said that this report is not corroborated and it only comes through the path of Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. Are there any other companions who narrate this hadith to your knowledge?
No.
Okay. So here's a hadith from Ali ibn Abi Talib that says the exact same thing.
Yeah, show us.
Yes.
Show us. Make the screen big. Okay.
Yeah, make the screen big. Ali ibn Abi Talib narrated, the Prophet prohibited mut'ah with women and the meat of domestic donkeys during the campaign of Khaybar.
Show us the chain. Show us the chain.
Yeah.
Show us the chain.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a Zuhri in it as well.
Days, bro. What's this?
So why are you bringing it?
Why are you bringing Zuhri, bro?
What do you mean, why am I bringing it up? Because you said no other companions narrated.
The first hadith we read is also from Ali ibn Abi Talib. Didn't you read it?
I asked you about companions, bro. Did you not hear my question?
Yeah. So the first hadith we read was also attributed to Ali ibn Abi. It's literally the same hadith.
Bro, why are you guys sitting here?
Just made like a big L. Okay, let's.
Wallah, this is.
Yeah.
What are you, bro? What? I already said, bro. I already told you Zuhri is the common link. I'm saying, I asked you from az-Zuhri. Bro,
so,
you guys
why did you bring the hadith? Like, it's literally
because
the first
I'm asking you, bro. Because before we get to the common link, we have to see who it's ascribed to. Silly.
Yeah, it's even in this the first one we read. It's Ali.
Okay. So then my question was not, is there one common link? We already said that there's one common link. Silly. I'm asking, Are there
Bro,
multiple
don't call me
companions
silly.
who are,
Leafy,
no,
you
you're
just
being
made
silly.
yourself look silly.
You are being silly. No, I didn't.
Don't be
No,
disingenuous.
I'm not being
Respect
disingenuous
your-
because I asked you a question.
Respect your
I asked you a
interlocutor.
question, and I'm not respecting you if you're going to be silly.
What was your...
bro. What are
Okay,
you
let's
talking about?
rewind back.
Okay,
What was
so
your
my
question? What was your question?
my question was, are there any other companions who narrate this hadith to your knowledge?
Yeah, and what did
That's
I say?
And you said
what did I say?
no. You said no, and then you started saying Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri is the common link. Like that makes a difference.
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
Oh my god. Okay, so that the multiple companions.
And why did you bring?
Hadith.
Yeah,
1 second.
No,
are there multiple companions?
Who is the other companion? Who is the other companion?
Okay. Wait, so you're saying there's no other companions?
No,
I haven't seen any. You want to show me?
Okay, right. Okay, so right. 1 second. Okay, here you go. Here's another companion. Since you haven't seen it. Ilyas ibn Salma reported on the authority of his father that Allah's messenger gave sanction for contracting temporary marriage for 3 nights in the year of Atas and then forbade it. So,
is it talking about Khaybar?
is that talking about Khaybar?
It's a co-transmission for the same event.
No. What?
It's not the
Yes, it is.
for the same. How is it the same event?
What do you mean? Because it's saying he forbade temporary marriage for 3 nights and then he forbade it. He allowed it for 3 nights.
What's the year of Atas?
It doesn't have to say for the same thing.
The same event means Khaybar. We are talking about Khaybar.
Literally talking about Khaybar.
Why are you on about it? Like
it's a co-trans. You didn't know that it's transmitted by multiple companions. That's okay. So it's a big L for you.
No, it's not. We are
already agreed
talking
this
about
one common link.
we are talking about the prohibition of Mutah on the day of Khaybar. It's not a co-transmission for that particular event. Where are you on?
No, bro. It's a.
We are not talking about ahadith on the prohibition of Mutah. That's a.
No, wait, yes, we are. Yes, we are. What?
No, we are not.
One second. Yes, what?
We're not.
Wait. So you're talking about. Wait, 1 second. So you're saying no. We're only talking about the prohibition of Mutah at Khaybar from al-Zuhri, and only in this particular case where there's one common link, you're not allowed to bring any other co-transmissions. You're just poisoning the well before it even begins.
No.
Yes, you are.
That's not true. We are talking about the historicity of the event of Prophet prohibiting Mutah on the day of Khaybar.
You guys are no, bro. Wait 1 second.
You're just laughing.
He literally clearly said, look, let me just be fair. He said
bro,
on the day of Khaybar, there's many hadiths, many chains. All of them are the same in the beginning. And then after Zuhri, it diverges. Before Zuhri,
bro, I'm not disputing, brother. You guys are not tracking. Did I ever disagree that Zuhri is the common link and that he's a bottleneck? I didn't disagree with that.
Yeah,
my question was about the companions before that, and you're saying it doesn't count as a co-transmission because it doesn't mention the particular element that you want. That's
Leafy.
not how it works.
Either the Prophet prohibited Mutah on the day of Khaybar or he didn't. We are not talking about Fath Makkah or any other day. We are talking about, did this thing happen at the day of Khaybar or not? That's the question, right? So you bringing us a memory about the year of Atas or the Fath Makkah or any other event. That's not a co-transmission for the same event. Yeah, it's a co-transmission. It's a transmission.
How do you know it wasn't Khaybar? How do you know it wasn't Khaybar?
Yeah. Where does it say it was Khaybar?
It doesn't need to say it. How do you know it wasn't Khaybar?
No, where does it say it was Khaybar?
It doesn't need to say it. How do you know it wasn't Khaybar? You don't know. So it could be a co-transmission, and you're just not accepting that because it doesn't have the element that you want, which is under question.
Yeah,
you don't ask. It's circular. It's circular. You're being circular, bro. You're already from the beginning, a priori, brother. From the beginning, you're ruling out the reports that don't have the element that you want. And then when I bring you the reports that don't have the element that you want, you say, oh, it doesn't have the element that I want. Of course, it doesn't have the element that you want. I'm already saying this element is a single strand.
Okay, you're asking for what's the proof of that? Open the hadith again.
You guys are being silly, straight silly, bro. You guys are being circular. You're not even realizing it.
Again. Open the hadith.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So what year is it talking about?
Utais 1847.
Yeah, which hadith is it?
It's
Sahih Muslim 1405.
The year of Atas. Khaybar was 2 years before that.
Yeah. The Ghazwa of Atas was 2 years after the Ghazwa of Khaybar.
Yeah. So what are you talking about?
So it's literally we have positive evidence.
According to
literally open any substantial maghazi. Like nobody says that the Ghazwa of
you don't even wait. Hold on a second. 1 second. Like, let me show you how these guys are. Let me show you how these guys are inconsistent. Do you believe the chronology of the Maghazi is actually reliable? According to your own standards, you don't even believe the chronology given in the Kitab al-Maghazi. So what are you talking about? Oh, the Kitab al-Maghazi said now it's reliable.
Who told you that?
What do you mean? Your daddy Joshua Little told me that.
That the chronology of the
yes, that the chronology breaks down after the first fitna. That the chronology breaks down after the first fitna.
This is not which first fitna. Why are we talking about first fitna?
Because you're not consistent on your own standards. You use our shit when you want it. Wait, 1 second. No. 1 second, bro. 1 second. No, I'm saying that according to you guys, it shouldn't make a difference because on your standard, you don't even believe our chronology is correct to begin with. So you're being inconsistent. In the same way, you're being inconsistent.
Who told you we don't believe the chronology is correct?
Your own scholars believe that. Joshua said it. Joshua Little says that.
Even if he said it, I don't agree with that. Where did he say that?
So he said that.
I think the chronology transmitted in the Sirah literature is actually generally reliable.
You're wrong.
I don't care what Joshua Little says on that. I think it's reliable. What's the problem?
Now you don't care what Joshua Little says because you want to make a silly.
Yeah, I need to see his argument. If he's published the argument, I want to see the argument based on authorial. Even based on authorial intent, we don't even need to argue for the historicity. The authorial intent is obviously not positing it's in the Khaybar because at least we know for a fact that in the general Muslim memory of that time, Awtas, the year of Awtas was not the same as the year of Khaybar. So even from
I can say look
what do you mean we don't know that?
One second. Look, I can play your game and I can beat you.
Bro, now you're just being disingenuous. You're literally being disingenuous.
I'm literally not.
Which scholar said that the year of Awtas is the same as the year of Khaybar?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that according to you, right? You're saying
no, it doesn't matter according to me. I care about the authorial intent.
1 second. Yeah, okay. That's the whole thing we're arguing about. Like, what are you talking about? So I'm saying, according to you, your standards, you're saying that the prohibition of Mutah, Khaybar, is a contamination that's not there, and it's absent of co-transgressions. Okay, fine.
I'm not saying it's a contamination. I didn't say that.
So wait, what are you saying? So you're saying it's authentic to Zuhri?
No, it is authentic to Zuhri for sure.
Okay, and then past Zuhri, is it authentic?
Yeah, no. So, but that's not what contamination.
Okay, so then
means.
Then it's a. What do you mean it's not?
What do you think contamination means?
Contamination means an addition by a narrator.
No, sir, that's not what contamination means. Contamination means you don't even know the basic terms of contamination means when a feature of a particular
from another hadith. Yeah,
when a feature of a particular recension makes itself to a branch that's unrelated to that family. That's it's a particular type of addition. Not all additions.
Okay, thank you. So I didn't say that. Okay, so it's a particular type of addition.
So it's not it is an addition, but it's not a contamination.
You don't know that, bro. You prove it's not a contamination.
Well, we don't have any evidence that it's a contamination.
Okay, right. No, that's not sufficient for you. Prove it's not a contamination. Just the saying there's no evidence isn't proving that it's not a contamination, bro.
Obviously, why would I posit it's a contamination?
Okay, thank you. So I'm not wrong when I'm saying.
No, you are wrong because you are positing it's a contamination without any evidence. It's like the same thing as the flying unicorn that you talked about.
No, it's not the same thing as the flying unicorn.
It is. You don't have any evidence that it's a contamination, yet you're calling it a contamination. It's just like the same thing as you saying there's a unicorn at Jupiter. Yeah, there could be a unicorn at Jupiter, but you don't have any evidence for that. What's the evidence?
Because Zuhri is not going to make it up on his own. So if he's getting it from somewhere, he's getting it from somewhere, and it's not from himself.
Yeah, what's the evidence that Zuhri is not going to make it up on his own?
There's a high probability of al-Zuhri because we know his character and we've seen his other transmission that he's not a fabricator of hadith. He narrates hadith, he can have ziyadat thiqat, so most likely if there's an addition, it's a contamination. It's not just him pulling it out of his ass, right?
Amazing. You have a lot of husnul dhan about al-Zuhri. I respect that.
I don't need to have husnul dhan. It's not husnul dhan. It's just prior probability. Prove where does Zuhri fabricate a hadith? If you show me one time,
we are just talking about it.
That's begging the question. That's begging the question.
So let's continue our discussion. Anyway, so now you have al-Zuhri transmitting a prohibition of Mutah at the day of Khaybar, right? And now let's see. You have all these early memories about the day of Mutah. The day of Khaybar, right? Because the day of Khaybar is obviously something that's mentioned in the early Hadith corpus and even in the early Sirah corpus. So when we look at all the early accounts of the day of Khaybar, I think all of them, at least many of them, many substantial ones, mention the prohibition of donkey meat on the day of Khaybar, right? For example, even if you check out, just like a very short example is going to be, even if you check out the recently, rediscovered recension of Musa bin Uqba, where he is in fact transmitting from al-Zuhri, right? He mentions the prohibition of donkey meat. But there is no mention
just the argument
in the
from
early.
silence.
Just a minute, let me finish. There is no mention of the prohibition of Mutah. So now the question is this: what is the probability of there being this particular announcement by the Prophet on the day of Khaybar of two things, Mut'ah and donkey meat, and it just happens to be the case? By the way, just cognitively, that makes it much more likely that it would be remembered, right? Because if
it's not true.
That's not true. It is true. It is true. Let me finish.
It's not true.
Let me finish. If the Prophet announced things simultaneously, and people, it rarely happens that people have a memory, but in their memory one thing just gets dropped. That doesn't really happen usually, unless it's like a massive list, then yeah. But in short lists, if people remember one happening, they remember the other happening as well. Anyway, so that's
just like your understanding of what's called the state of psychology, and you're trying to impose that onto the hadith and say therefore
I'm saying that's how humans work. It's not the case.
That's not true.
Humans.
Not true, bro.
How's that not true?
That's just
how's that not true?
Yeah, because prove it happened in this instance.
No. The question is why are you saying how's that not true?
All you've done, I'll tell you what. Because all you're doing, bro.
Is telling me.
Can I finish? Let me finish.
No. First, I'll let you speak. Let me just put the question. You are telling me that it's generally not the case that if a thing happens, if two things happen, or if a person says this and this, it's not generally the case that if people remember that episode, they probably remember both the elements. You are saying that's not generally the case. Generally,
I'm saying,
usually,
that's not.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, can I speak? So all you've done for me so far is paint a nice little story in your head, the same way Joshua does. It's a historical reconstruction based on assumptions. Can I finish? Let me finish. Bro, why are you so afraid of letting me speak? Is it okay to let me speak? Is that fine?
Okay. Yeah, you can speak, but please answer my question.
Sure, no worries, right? It's a story, it's a historical reconstruction that you've painted, right? Based on pseudo-intellectual principles that don't have any actual foundation, right? So you take, for example, you say, oh, look, it's likely that if they're going to remember one element and the other element was really real, they would have remembered both elements. Well, that's not true all the time. It can happen sometimes, but how do you know that in one particular instance, people just remembered one element and happened to forget the other one? If it's absent of co-transmissions if it's absent of co-transmissions and there's only one line, as you're saying, right? Then what if the one person just managed to forget one element and another person managed to remember both elements? There's no reason why that's not plausible. You're just saying, I find it unlikely. Okay, well, that's just your subjective value judgment.
I'm asking you a question.
Let me move on. That's the first point.
No, don't move on. I asked you a question.
No, bro, you spoke for like 5 minutes.
You can speak for as long as you want. That's
okay,
fine.
so can I finish speaking?
I'm going to ask you
Let me finish speaking. That's fine. You can ask me whatever question you want. No, let me finish speaking. Right. Now you're talking about, this is talking about a different chronology. Well, I'm telling you, in this particular instance, the chronology is actually not correct. When Mut'ah was prohibited, there's actually disagreement about it by our own scholars, and there are contradictory reports on it to varying degrees of authenticity, which shows that it was actually muddled. People forgot when Mut'ah was prohibited. They just had a vague memory that it was prohibited at some point in time. So the other tradition, which you're failing to consider as a co-transmission, could simply be, I can simply posit and say that it was a co-transmission and people misremembered the chronology. I can say the narrators misremembered the chronology, and there's nothing wrong with that. that, and you couldn't refute that. I can have that as a valid historical reconstruction that's just as plausible, and you can't rule that out. The fact that you can't rule that out means that your reconstruction is just one of many. I don't have to take your reconstruction. I can take another one that's just as plausible. So you haven't done anything here. You haven't refuted the Sunni Hadith corpus. It's actually very laughable that you think this is a strong argument against the Sunni Hadith corpus. It's just a weak argument from silence, a failure to actually look and examine alternative historical reconstructions, right? And then an appeal to al-Zuhri saying that, oh, there's one element in this one and another element in that one. That doesn't tell me anything.
Okay, now
you can go ahead, bro.
Answer. Yeah, inshallah, this time you'll answer my question. In general, what's more likely? That if there's a 2-element list and a person remembers, given that a person remembers one element, what's more likely? That number one, they would remember the second element. Number two, they would not remember the second element.
Okay, cool. I'm saying in general, I can even grant you. In general, it's more likely that they would remember both elements, but you can't rule out the possibility that in this particular instance, he just happened to remember one element and forget the other element. Or emphasize one element and forget one element. Or he could have remembered both of them and it could have just not been preserved. That's another possibility that you're also not considering. And there's nothing you can do to rule them out.
Let us continue. So now we have established that the probability of a religious figure giving a religious commandment at a day when his community is around him, the probability of the event generating multiple distinct strands is likely. Then we have also established that in general, if one element in the list is remembered, it is highly likely that the second element in the list is remembered as well. And by the way, that's something, very extensively supported by psychology of memory as well. So just considering homology, we don't expect people to forget 2-element lists. Now, then we have the Sira literature, right? Sira literature is actually our most, both from a critical standard and even from a more traditional standard. It's a very important source, and we can trace it back to very early authorities. We can trace it back to let me finish. We can trace it back to Hisham bin Urwa as well. So in all of the early Sira corpus that we can reconstruct, it's very interesting that we get one element. We get the element of the donkey meat being banned, but the Mutah not being banned. We don't get any reference to that. So what's the probability that this thing happened, yet all the early biographers failed to mention it in their retellings of what happened at the day of Khaybar? The probability.
Yes. It's just a weak argument from silence again. You're just making the same point over and over again. I mean, I don't know why we're still talking about this. So, is your position? I can grant you the probability is unlikely, but that's absent of co-transmissions, which you're not considering. The fact is that there are co-transmissions that you're not considering because your methodology is circular. If I was to grant you your circular method, then yes, I would agree with you that it's an unlikely probability. But I don't agree with your methodology, and I think it's circular. Can you please address that point? Because you're ruling out co-transmissions that you can't safely say don't actually exist.
Yeah.
True or false? Is that true or false?
No, that's not true. So show me a co-transmission.
Wait 1 second. You've been asking me questions. Let me ask you questions. Could it be the case that the other historical reconstruction that I described to you is plausible? Is that a possible reconstruction?
No, that's not possible. What's the evidence?
Okay, why isn't?
What's the evidence? Yeah, what's the evidence of there being a co-transmission? Yeah,
a co-transmission. Is it possible?
A co-transmission.
Let me make my point.
A co-transmission of the same event. A co-transmission of the same event would be a co-transmission of the same event. Now, are you positing that?
That's not true. That's not true. That's not even true. That's not even true. It doesn't have to be about the same event. There are times where we know Sahaba actually get mistaken about which events happen where, and they actually make mistakes in chronology. And this is actually documented even by traditionalist scholars like James Howard Johnson. He documents this, and even At-Tabari, he makes mistakes in chronology. And the Sahaba actually even made mistakes in chronology because they're humans and they make mistakes. And that's actually a proof of the authenticity of the seerah. So my question to you is it a plausible reconstruction? Is it just as plausible as yours? Or you can say that you think yours is more probable. That's fine. Is there an alternative reconstruction where the hadith that I gave you is a co-transmission, and the narrator simply made a mistake about when Mut'ah was prohibited because we know there was disagreement about when Mut'ah was prohibited and the chronology of its prohibition? Is that a plausible alternative reconstruction? Yes or no? You can think yours is more likely.
No, it's not a plausible historical reconstruction.
Okay, why is it not plausible?
Yeah, what's the evidence that the
why is it not plausible?
Yeah.
Why is it not plausible?
Yeah, because
the evidence is,
I'll
the evidence,
tell you.
let me tell you the evidence. Let me tell you the evidence. Let me tell you the evidence.
He's asking me a question and then he doesn't let me speak.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reason it's not plausible is that you are just presuming to defend your conclusion that, oh, there must have been a mistake here. What's the evidence that there's a mistake?
What? No. We already know there was a mistake here. Wait, no, 1 second. I'm not presuming anything. We know there was a mistake because there's contradictory reports about when Mut'ah was prohibited. That's how we know there was a mistake.
No, that doesn't necessarily entail a mistake.
What? There's a contradiction in the chronology.
Have you even read the commentaries?
Oh my god. Hey, bro, you're not serious,
it's very
man.
clear.
Hey, you're not serious, bro. Hey, you accuse me of being disingenuous, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro.
You're just cutting me off. You don't even know. You don't even know the traditionalist
chronology,
position,
bro. No, you don't even know the tradition.
No, I very well know it, bro.
No, you don't.
I actually studied it more than you because you have obviously never studied it. Do you know what's the traditionalist? Just a minute.
Okay,
now he's just cutting me off. He's just cutting me off.
You're not here to quiz me, buddy.
Why
You're not here to quiz me, buddy. Answer the point. You're running from the point.
I'm answering the point.
No, you're not. Okay, go ahead. Answer the point.
Okay. Do you know what's the traditionalist Sunni? Okay, he's just cutting us. Bro, these things are not gonna work. You laughing and this. Just be genuine, man. Come on.
My laughs is very genuine.
What is this? Are you talking to like a kafir, mulhid? Just talk like a normal person. I can laugh as well. Like, what's that?
Then laugh. If you find me funny, then you can laugh. You're free to laugh. That's fine. I find you funny and your explanation's copious. I'm allowed to laugh. It's okay. It's all right. Anyway, like I said, this guy thinks it's not plausible, and You want to speak, or you want me to speak?
Yeah, let him finish.
I want to speak. You're not letting me speak. Whenever I start speaking, you start laughing.
Okay, bro. Continue.
At least have some respect for your interlocutor.
And if my interlocutor if my interlocutor was genuine, I would have respect for him. Unfortunately, he's not. So you can continue. Go ahead.
Yeah, bro. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so do you know what's the traditionalist Sunni position about the dating of the prohibitions of Mut'ah?
There's disagreement on it.
No, what's the general position?
There's a disagreement on it.
No, there isn't. The general position is that it's not that there's a contradiction on when the Mut'ah was banned. No, that's not how the scholars explain it. The scholars generally explain it like that on the day of Khaybar, the Prophet prohibited Mut'ah, and then he allowed it on in circumstances, and the final time he banned it was on the day of Fath of Makkah. So they don't say there's like a contradiction, as in no, they posit that the Prophet allowed it and then didn't allow it, and then he allowed it again, and then he banned it for the final time at the Fath of Makkah.
That's one reconstruction. There are others that scholars give that disagree with that reconstruction.
Which scholar disagrees?
That's fine. I can get it for you. No problem. Continue.
Yeah. Which classical scholar disagrees with that?
That's fine. I'll get it for you. Don't worry.
Oh, just name it. You must know the source, right?
I'm getting it for you. Don't
worry. So you don't know the source?
Not off the top of my head, no. I remember seeing it.
You don't even remember the name of the commentator who says that?
What do you mean? I don't remember the name of the commentator? I remember.
Yeah, you're just saying they're scholars, and at least you would remember the name, even if you don't remember the citation. That's fine. I'm not asking.
I'm not going to give you.
What's the name? What's the name of the scholar?
I'm not.
Okay. Anyway, I've never. Okay.
That's fine.
I haven't seen a scholar who says that Oh, it's literally contradictory in the sense that it can't be reconciled, or the Muslim, the early Muslim community.
That's not the point. Bro, of course they try and reconcile it, but the fact is that there are contradictory accounts of when Mut'ah was prohibited, and the Sahaba disagree.
But I haven't seen. But I haven't seen anyone positing your reconstruction, which is that the Sahabas had like false or imperfect memories with regard to this. What I have generally heard and read and even heard from the scholars is that they posit no, the Sahabas had accurate memories. So it was a fact that it was banned at Khaybar and it was banned at Fath Makkah as well, but it was just banned multiple times. That's it. They don't posit that their memories were corrupted and that's why they disagree.
How many times do you have to ban the same thing? How many times do you have to ban the same thing?
Multiple times, because they posit, and now I'm telling you their explanation. Yeah, okay, if you want to laugh at their explanation, that's fine. Their explanation is that it is literally their explanation. They posit that the Prophet allowed it multiple times and then he would ban it. So that's why there are multiple different reports of it being banned. That's the most common. I'm pretty sure that's the most common explanation that you would read
repeat your reconstruction. Repeat your reconstruction.
Their reconstruction. No, not my reconstruction. This is the classical Sunni Hadith commentator reconstruction, which is that Mut'ah was banned multiple times, and the reason for that is the Prophet would allow it sometimes. For example, he even allowed it at Fath of Makkah. And by the way, that hadith is in al-Bukhari.
Okay, I know that, but that's not what we're talking about. So,
do you know which hadith I'm talking about? Just a minute. Do you know which hadith I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one in Sahih Muslim.
Yeah, what
Sahih
does it
Muslim, say? What? Yeah, it says, the Messenger of Allah ordered us to practice Mut'ah in the year of the conquest, and we did not leave Mecca before he prohibited us from it.
No. Yeah, this is a shorter version. There's a longer version of it where the two cousins explain.
Yeah, it says he prohibited temporary marriage on the day of the conquest. I know what you're talking about. Now, give me your reconstruction. When was Mut'ah prohibited?
No, that's not my. Yeah, it's not my reconstruction.
The Sunni reconstruction that you're telling me. That's fine. Give me. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the Sunni reconstruction is that the Mut'ah was allowed and disallowed multiple times. Prophet.
When?
Yeah, one time definitely at Khaybar, and then the Prophet allowed it at Fath of Makkah. And then the Prophet banned it again. And even on the Ghazawat, banned it again on Fath of Makkah, on conquest.
Okay, and then is there any other prohibitions after that? Prohibitions allowing it after that?
After the prohibition of I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, but you don't know.
From what I remember.
So if there was, would there be contradictory accounts of when it was prohibited?
I don't know. Maybe there's another hadith. Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember the one that I showed you about the year of Al-Tas, which you just told me was after Khaybar?
Yes.
Okay, so that one as well. Okay, and then there's other ones at Tabuk as well, and then the scholars called it an error. Ibn Hajar says it's an error to say that it was prohibited at Tabuk. There are scholars who did say it was prohibited at Tabuk, and then there are some who said it was also prohibited at the farewell pilgrimage. So it was prohibited multiple times. There's disagreement on the chronology of when it was prohibited. It's unlikely from a purely just prima facie perspective, just a priori, it's unlikely that the Prophet actually prohibited Mut'ah 6 times and he allowed it 6 times. It's very unlikely. Yeah. Would you agree with me that it's very unlikely?
No, now you're applying critical historical reasoning.
Bro, I've been applying critical reasoning from the beginning. You just don't like it. My critical reasoning is not the same as yours because we have different assumptions. No, wait 1 second. You're not going to get out of this.
I want to know.
You're not going to get out of this, bro. You're not going to get out of this. Is it likely that the Prophet... No, you're not going to get out of this. Is it
under the Sunni paradigm, no, it's not a problem.
No, I'm not asking about the Sunni paradigm. I'm not asking about the Sunni paradigm, bro. I'm asking about your paradigm.
Okay, mashallah. So now you're just going to...
Is it likely... Stop running. Is it likely on your paradigm, the historical critical paradigm that champions aql and reasoning so much, right, that the Prophet prohibited something, the same thing, 6 times in 6 different events? Is it likely?
No, I don't think it's likely at all.
Okay, cool. All right, so that means the Sunni... Wait, 1 second. Let me finish. Let me build. Let me build, bro. Hey, stop. Hey, just because your boy's getting cooked, you don't need to jump in and save him. All right, now, that means there's contradictory accounts of the chronology. There's contradictory accounts of the chronology from a historical critical perspective, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. I would say... One second. So from a historical critical perspective, how do you...
I don't even believe this happened, but that's a separate thing.
That's fine. I don't care what you believe. I care what you can prove.
My question is, which traditionalist Sunni scholar champions your reconstruction? That's my question. No, sir. No, I haven't read any. You said you're gonna bring it. Okay, let's talk sources. Where's the source that you said you're gonna bring? Let's go ahead.
Okay.
Because we are just gonna beat around the bush. Where's the source? Which scholar says that there was just like an absolutely no relatively stable memory of the prohibition at all? I have seen is that the Sunni scholars say that it was banned multiple times. They don't say that the Sahaba had like a faulty memory and then they just forgot. Where's the evidence for that? Which classical Sunni scholar?
I didn't say that. You're straw manning.
Okay, can we hear your reconstruction once again?
1 second, bro. No, 1 second, bro. You're straw manning my position. I didn't say that the Sunni scholars are gonna say, like Ibn Hajar is gonna say, oh, the Sahaba had faulty memory and they whatever. No, he's gonna say that there's a khata, there's a mistake regarding when it was prohibited. And Ibn Hajar quotes as-Suhaili saying that there was disagreement regarding the time when temporary marriage was prohibited. So he himself knows that there's a disagreement in chronology, and he says this in Fath al-Bari. Here, I can put it up on screen for you. I can give you the reference as well. So he says this himself in Fath al-Bari. So Ibn Hajar notes the disagreement in chronology. So I'm telling you, there's a disagreement in chronology, even according to our perspective, right? And according to your perspective, there's a disagreement in chronology. Okay, if there's disagreement in chronology, then why are you saying that any co-transmission that gives a different date must be like a completely different branch and we can't consider it at all? I'm saying it could be a different co-transmission and it has the same thing. You can't disprove me, bro. And that's the problem with your arguments, is that you're not considering the other possibilities because you don't want to consider them, because you want to think you're so smart and say, oh yeah, I'm using historical critical methods, and what's more likely is that basically al-Zuhri contaminated it, or he made it up, or he inserted it for some polemical reason, for some sectarian reason, for some whatever reason that you think he did it for. And that's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so which traditional Sunni scholar said that Mutah was not banned at the day of Khaybar?
He didn't, bro. He's not saying it wasn't banned at the day of Khaybar. He's saying the disagreement about when it was banned, meaning that there were other scholars before him who transmitted the disagreement about when it was banned.
Yeah, but how? Obviously,
you understand the difference?
How do they resolve? No. Bro, the way you are resolving the disagreement is not the same thing as how the traditionalist Sunni scholars resolve.
I'm not saying, bro. Oh my God, I don't need to follow.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up 1 second. Am I bound? Am I bound by Ibn Hajar's reconstruction? Am I bound by Ibn Hajar's reconstruction or Shafi'i's reconstruction?
Okay,
cool. So I don't need to resolve it the same way they do. Okay, cool. So I'm not bound.
So you don't agree with their analysis.
So I'm a bigger mujtahid mutlaq than you.
Than Ash-Shafi'i.
And Kara, not
than Ash-Shafi'i.
No. I didn't say then Ash-Shafi'i. I don't put words in my mouth.
Okay, so why don't you take their reconstruction? Why don't you take their reconstruction over your own reconstruction?
They can make mistakes when it comes to chronology.
Okay, what's the likelihood of them making a mistake and Leafy?
1 second.
No, just a minute. What's the likelihood of them making a mistake and you making a mistake?
You're calling me disingenuous. This is crazy. Ash-Shafi'i can make a mistake about when, bro, and the scholars there's disagreement about when the Prophet was even born. I can take one position over another. It doesn't mean I'm a bigger scholar than either of them. That's stupid. That's silly, right?
No,
so I don't know why you're saying that. Okay, cool. So then don't say, oh, Leafy is bigger than Ash-Shafi'i and whatever. Just because if I disagree with his reconstruction of one particular issue.
Why should your reconstruction be taken over the classical Sunni reconstruction?
Okay, I'm saying there are multiple classical Sunni reconstructions.
You said that there is evidence for your reconstruction. Where is the evidence for your reconstruction?
Okay, yeah, the evidence. Okay, thank you, because you interrupted me. You didn't let me get to it. So
yeah, go ahead.
You're saying, thank you, right. So on my worldview, I consider that there's a disagreement over the chronology. It became muddled and people transmitted different things because they misremembered it, okay? And because of that, there are hadith that have the same...
Just to be clear, just
oh my God.
Oh my God. Think it was banned once? In your reconstruction, it was banned once.
No, that's not true. I don't believe it was just
banned
once. I believe it was banned.
What's your reconstruction?
I believe it was banned twice. Once at Khaybar and once on the farewell pilgrimage. In the farewell pilgrimage, and it's possible the conquest of Mecca as well.
No, isn't that there Sahih Hadith on that? It was banned on the Fath of Mecca.
Yeah, I'm saying I agree with that. I'm saying that's plausible.
Yeah, so how many times was it banned?
That means 3 times.
3 times, okay. So weren't you previously stating that it was improbable that the Prophet would ban it 3 times? Or were you just saying that for like critical historical reasons?
That was for 6 times.
Oh, so 3 times is probable, but 6 times not probable.
No, I'm saying that's you're strong. Again, I'm saying that 3 times is likely because we have, from our traditional perspective, 3 times is likely. From your historical critical perspective, that champions aqd 6 times is unlikely. Am I being inconsistent?
Okay. I'm just trying to understand your reconstruction.
That's what I thought.
So your reconstruction, so your reconstruction is that I was banned 3 times.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's the Sunni traditionalist reconstruction, right? That's what I told you in the beginning.
There's some that said 2. There's some that said 2, and they
At least multiple times is definitely. It's definitely there is a consensus, at least a wide majority of scholars, at least except 2, which is Khaybar and Fath of Makkah, because there you have Sahih reports for both of them.
That's fine, but I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So now, what's your point? Your point is that
my point is that there's alternative reconstructions that you're not considering. That's my point. That's been my point. You're not addressing.
So your point, no. Now your point was specific. Your point was that, somebody transmitting about Ghazwa, the banning at the day of Ghazwa al-Tas, that can be like a possible co-transmission for banning at the day of Khaybar.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Anything can be. Yes, anything can be.
It could be.
Case, of course.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Could it be or could it not be?
Anything can be the case. The question is.
Wait, one second. I agree. I'll even grant you. It could be unlikely. It's unlikely that that the people made a mix-up and that this is a co-transmission. I can grant you that. A priori, it is unlikely that this is the case. But because we know that there was actually mistakes in chronology, that boosts the likelihood of it. So now, in my opinion, it's just as, if not more plausible than your reconstruction, and you can't refute it. There's no reason for you to prefer one over the other.
Okay, so now let me talk. So now, even if it was a quote unquote, let's just say it was an error, just generally psychologically, people are more likely to make an error that's closer to the event than that which is farther. So the year of Awtas, just a minute. The year of Awtas is closer to, what is it closer to? Fath Makkah or Khaybar?
No, Khaybar.
MashaAllah. When was Fath Makkah?
Am I mistaken?
When was Fath Makkah? Which year was Fath Makkah? Which year Hijri?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Leafy, which year?
It's 630.
I don't remember.
It's okay. If you say you're remembering in Common Era, do you know the Common Era year though?
You said 630, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Okay. And when was Ghazwatul Awtas?
We just read it. It was
when was it?
one, whatever it was.
Yeah, when was it?
I forgot to be honest. Yeah, whatever, same year. Sure.
Yeah. So why should we not take it? Just please let me finish, man. Don't be. Why should we not take it to be the reference to the Fath of Makkah? Because it's literally the same year, and look at the wording of the hadith. It doesn't say it was just let me finish, bro. If you could bring the hadith back up once again, it doesn't say on the day of Awtas. It says the year of Awtas. The year of Awtas was actually the year of Fath of Makkah. So why shouldn't we take it as a reference to Fath of Makkah rather than banning at the day of Khaybar? Like that's just much more improbable. Yeah, the justification for that is that I'm telling you the justification. The justification for that is if there is a banning event which is reported in the corpus, right, which is at Fath of Makkah, and then there is a report which says, well, there was a banning of Mutah at that year, just prima facie, it's much more likely that it's literally referring to that banning, which was literally in that year. Why should we go around and say,
that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, bro, any reasonable person would say that. Come on, bro.
That's not true. How's
that not true? How's that not true?
Because why couldn't it not be? You're just saying, I think because it's closer.
Yeah, why is it not more likely?
Well, this is the same Joshua argument. This is the same Joshua argument
Guys,
over and over again.
Okay, let me lay out and ask the audience.
It's clear.
No, you're just coping. Okay, let me lay it out. Let me lay it out. Okay, let me lay it out and ask the audience. Let's ask the audience. Audience, here's the scenario.
Appeal to the chat fallacy. Appeal to the chat fallacy.
No. Appeal to natural language. You are just positing.
Appeal to the chat fallacy.
Bro, you are just positing. Come on, man. Come on. Now you know you are being dishonest. It's very simple.
It's not.
There is a banning.
Dishonest.
Okay, let me lay it out.
All you're doing, you're just your whole reconstruction is just based on assumptions of your
Bro, you are literally
judgments.
coping at this point.
I'm not
you are
coping.
Being dishonest.
How am I coping?
Why should I pause it? Why should I pause? Okay, okay, let's start very simple. There's a prohibition.
I can just say, I can literally just do the same thing as you and say, why would he prohibit it? One second. Okay, so you're saying that there was two prohibitions very close to each other, right? Brethren.
Speak, man, speak.
Brethren, I'm asking you a question. Are you saying, they're saying there's two prohibitions that are very close to each other, right?
Yeah, they're 2 years apart.
Okay, thank you. And you're saying because they're closer to each other, that makes it more plausible, right, than them being father.
Sorry, what? No,
you're saying
you are not track. You don't even track what I said.
You're saying because of the language of the hadith, it's most likely to be referring to that event.
Yes, and why am I saying that?
Because of the timeline. You think it's better supports the chronology.
Yeah. So there are two prohibitions, right? One in year 8 and one in year 10. I'm just going based on the traditionalist account.
Okay, when in year 8? When in year 8? In the conquest of Mecca and the farewell pilgrimage.
Let me finish.
I'm just clarifying.
Year 8 would be Khaybar. Year 10 would be Fath of Mecca, to the conquest of Mecca. Okay? Now, we
Khaybar
get a report.
Wait, are you talking Hijr? Bro, Khaybar is 7. And conquest of Mecca is 8.
Yes.
Yeah, the farewell pilgrimage is 10.
Okay. So.
Right. So that's funny. Anyway, you were making. I just want to remember that you guys were making fun of me for not remembering dates. I just corrected you on dates. Continue.
Yeah, Fatah Mecca is an 8, bro. 20th of Ramadan.
Well, yeah, I know, but he said 10. He said 10. 10 is the farewell pilgrimage.
Sorry. I got it. So, they are 2 years apart, right? The earlier one is at Khaybar. The later one is at Fath of Mecca.
Sure.
Right? Are you
That's
following me
correct,
so far?
Yep.
Yeah. So now, when is the Battle of Al-Tas? Just search it up. No problem.
8 AH.
Yeah. So which
right after Hunayn.
is the year? Yeah. Which is the year of Al-Tas?
I already said 8 AH.
Yeah. What happened in 8 AH?
What do you mean? What happened? The conquest of Mecca.
Yes. So the year of Al-Tas is the year of conquest of Mecca, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if I get a hadith which is saying that there was a banning in the year of Al-Tas, which banning should I take it to refer to?
There's no reason to prefer your reconstruction over the other one. It could be referring to Khaybar. It could be referring to the conquest of Mecca. It could even be referring to Hunayn. It could be referring to any one of them. There's no reason to prefer one over the other except for your subjective value judgment, your fuzzy feelings. This one makes more sense to me than the other one. I can just say the same thing. I can say Khaybar makes more sense to me. There's no reason to prefer one over the other.
So just to be clear, if there is an event in a certain year, and then I get a report which says that in that year an event took place, I should not take that report to be referring to that particular event.
Where does it say that year?
Yeah, just open the hadith once again.
Yeah, pull it up. I don't have my computer.
Yeah, it literally says Al-Tas, the year of Al-Tas.
Open my screen.
Okay. And in the year of Al-Tas, what is it referring to?
Yeah, no, but I also said something else. Here, I'll read it.
But you're just...
You want me to read it or no?
You already read it, so I mean, you can read it again, that's fine.
Okay. Reported on the authority of his father that Allah's messenger gave sanction for contracting temporary marriage. That means it was banned and he allowed it for 3 nights in the year of Al-Tas, then forbid it. So it was already banned. It was already banned. He allowed it for 3 days and then he banned it.
Yeah. Cool. Fantastic. Great. Now, that doesn't answer anything. So, in the year of Al-Tas, there was multiple supposed prohibitions. There's even reports that say it was prohibited at Hunayn, right? Which is also in the year of Al-Tas. How do you know it wasn't referring to Hunayn instead of the conquest of Mecca? You don't know that. And even then, I don't even believe that part is authentic because, like I said, there's disagreement about the chronology, bro. So it could easily be a mistake and it's referring to something else that's before that, like Khaybar. It could have been a mistake and it's referring to Khaybar, which is what I think. So this doesn't prove anything. It's just, oh, I feel this, I feel that. I don't care about your feelings, bro.
Brother, and was Mutah banned before Khaybar according to Sunnis?
No, it wasn't. When was it banned?
Already Khaybar? Banned in this hadith.
No, bro. You're not tracking what the hadith is saying, silly.
He allowed it.
This reconstruction is that it was banned once in the conquest of Mecca, and then in the same year later at Al-Tas, it was banned again.
Where does it say later? I don't see later.
Oh my god, bro! It's a reconstruction. Oh my god! Just like okay. So when I do a reconstruction, that's wrong. But if you read in things, then that's fine. So it just depends what you want to read in.
So I have a question.
Anyway, this argument sucks. Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?
No, I don't think it sucks at all. Did any scholar read it as did any scholar who
that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. That's like saying did any scholar read Dhul Qarnayn as like Cyrus the Great? Therefore, Dhul Qarnayn can't be Cyrus the Great. Like it doesn't matter what any scholar read it in as. They're just reading in their own things as well. It's the same as me and you right now. There's no difference. So I don't know why you would think any scholar reading it or not reading it is going to make any difference to you. It's not.
But surely their opinion matters, right, or not?
It matters to me, but it doesn't matter to you. So I don't know why you're asking me.
Okay, because for example, if you read Nawawi, he says, هذا تصريح بأنها أبيحت يوم فتح مكة وهو يوم أوطاس شيء واحد.
And what's Nawawi's reconstruction? Nawawi's reconstruction is that it was permitted before Khaybar, then prohibited at Khaybar, and then prohibited again during the conquest, which then it was finally prohibited.
So just a minute. Nawawi doesn't have your understanding that Al-Tas
He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to.
So
I'm not saying he needs to have
understanding? Who has your understanding?
I'm a mujtahid mutlaq. I don't need anyone to have my understanding. I can look at the sources myself and make my own.
So why should we prefer? So why should we prefer your reconstruction over reconstruction?
I didn't say you should. I just said you couldn't refute it.
Just a minute.
I didn't say you should. I said you couldn't refute it.
I can't, bro. The history doesn't work on quote-unquote refutations.
It does. You need to show that yours is more probable. So, you haven't shown that. You haven't shown that yours is more probable. You just said based on my feelings and based on the principles that make sense to me.
No. Not just based on my feelings.
It is based on your feelings.
Not just based on my feelings.
That's not true. It's based on your feelings.
Not just based on my feelings. I think it's very rational.
Hey, tell your moderators to rise my boy Dean. Rise my boy Dean.
What I am saying is that obviously, if it's referring to that year, if it's referring to that year, it's referring to that particular happening.
How do you know?
And not only that, just let me finish, man. Just let me finish. And it's also using the same formula which is used about Fatah Makkah, which is the ban allowing for 3 days and then banning it. And
okay, well that's
scholars,
the point.
just let me finish, bro. And the scholars are understanding it in the same manner. Bro, any rational person, any reasonable person who uses natural language is gonna agree.
They don't all agree. No. They don't all agree.
Show me one person who says this Al-Tas is not referring to is referring to the year of Khaybar. No, nobody says that. Everyone says it. Like
I know. I didn't say that. I didn't say Al-Tas is the year of Khaybar. Bro, you're misunderstanding me. I agree, Al-Tas is the year after Khaybar. No problem. We're not saying Al-Tas is the year of Khaybar. I'm saying the narrator made a mistake in the chronology when he said it was Al-Tas to begin
why
with.
should I? Yeah, why should I take that?
Because
Why
bro,
should
what do you
why
mean,
should I take
because
that to
there's
be the
contradictions
case?
in
Why?
because there's a bunch of different contradictory reports and reconstructions from
No,
the Salaf.
there are
They're all
reports.
telling-
Just a minute.
Oh
There
my
are
God.
reports.
The own scholars that you're
There are
citing and Nawawi,
reports.
Ash-Shafi'i, and
There
Ibn
are
Hajar
reports.
tell you that there's contradictions in the chronology.
No, nobody disagrees that there are reports about it being banned on the Fath of Makkah. Why should I not
I'm not
take
saying
this
there are
report?
reports. Oh my God. Because there are, because on your perspective, bro, Sahih doesn't mean anything to you. You just have multiple reports. You have one report saying it's Khaybar,
Bro.
one report saying it was the conquest of Mecca, one report saying it was Hunayn, one report saying it was Al-Tas, one report saying it was Tabuk, one report saying it was the farewell pilgrimage. And you agree it's most likely not all of them. It's probably some of them, but not all of them. Right?
Yeah.
So now you're telling me.
So one of the
you're-
most
you're-
attested, one of the most attested, which is actually even more attested than Khaybar,
Is
at least more
Mecca.
widespread,
Is Mecca.
Yeah, so let me
we agree
speak
on that.
now, man.
Okay.
Let me speak. Let me speak,
Oh my
bro.
God.
Why are you cutting me off again and again? I'm not cutting you
I
off.
was the one
If you want to
speaking.
speak,
You ask a
okay,
question.
You are.
go ahead.
You let him finish speaking. Like it's
Okay.
not an interrogation. Like it's crazy.
If you want to speak,
Yeah.
speak. But then I'm speaking. Let me speak, bro.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
This has been going.
I'll
You can
speak.
go. Look, you can go ahead and speak. Go ahead.
So there is this tradition which says that it was banned in the year of Al-Tas. Why should I take it to be the case that the narrator misremembered and it's actually a co-transmission for the year of Khaybar, when actually the year of Al-Tas there was a widespread transmission that there was a prohibition which was at Fath Makkah, and literally every scholar also understands it in that manner. So why should I make that very improbable jump and say no, actually the authorial intent is not here referring to Fath of Makkah, but the compiler or the transmitter forgot, and they were actually they had a memory of the banning at the day of Khaybar, and that's what they were referring to. That's highly improbable. Why should I take that?
No, it's not. Why is it highly improbable?
Why is it not? Why is it not?
No, you are making it. You made the positive claim. It's highly improbable. Why is it highly improbable?
The reason it's highly improbable is that it just introduces.
No reason.
Bro, what the hell?
When I'm giving the reason, he just cuts me
Give the
off and
reason.
says no reason.
Give the reason, bro. There's no reason.
So are you gonna let me finish? Bro, why do you play these cheap rhetorics? Like, come on, man. You're like an adult. We are having an adult conversation. No need to jump in between and say this and that. Obviously, the reason is that why should I presume or assume that the compiler made a mistake or forgot, when not doing so creates perfect correspondence with the data as well. Why would I add these additional premises without any justification? Obviously, it's going to be more improbable. There's no reason to add these unjustified premises when it's clear that there is already data that's talking about Fath of Makkah, and that was in the same year. So why wouldn't I just take it to be referring to that same year? Why would I go ahead and add these additional presuppositions to just somehow change the year?
It's not a presupposition, bro. You're not understanding, brother. We're doing the same thing. We're just reaching different outcomes. There's 7 different times that's ascribed to when the Prophet, or like 6 different times where the Prophet. Let me finish, bro. There's 7 different times, right, where the Prophet is said to have forbidden Mutah, right? 7 different points in time, right? Most likely it wasn't all of them. You're saying there are 2 that are more well attested than others, and I agree with that. So conquest of Mecca is very well attested, and even let's say the farewell pilgrimage is very well attested. Now your issue is with Khaybar. You're saying the Khaybar one seems suspicious to me because of XYZ reason, right? And you're trying to make it sound scholarly, but it boils down to, if I have a fuzzy feeling in my heart that the one in Khaybar doesn't sound right, because absolute co-transmissions. Let me finish. Yeah, because it's absent of co-transmissions, right? Because Zuhri's a bottleneck, because the other versions don't have it, and they would have mentioned it if they had it. And what's the likelihood of this and what's the likelihood of that? Therefore, it's more likely that the Khaybar one was just made up. That's your argument. Okay, I'm telling you, I don't buy that argument.
No, you're
right?
strawmanning my argument. But
Let me finish. I'm not strawmanning. How am I strawmanning you, bro? That's literally what you said. You said Zuhri's absent of co-transmissions.
in a much
Zuhri's a
more
bottleneck.
systematic manner.
There, you said it in a nicer, more sophisticated way to sound like you know what you're talking about, but that's basically what you're boiling it down to, bro. So that's not a straw man. A straw man is when I misrepresent the substance of your argument. If I say your argument in a way you don't like, that's not a straw man.
Yeah, so I'm not saying, oh, just absent of co-transmission, therefore Zuhri lying. That's not my whole argument.
No, you said multiple things. You said absent of co-transmissions. You said Zuhri is a bottleneck. You said there's a strong. You said there's a strong argument from silence. You said it's reasonable to assume that if the Prophet said it publicly, we would expect other people to also say this, but they don't. They only say the stuff about the donkey meat. They don't say the stuff about what's called the Zuhri, the one that's specific to Zuhri, right? So you made a bunch of points, right? And each one of them, when you is basically just nothing. When you boil it down to it, it's just nothing. But then if you put it all together, it sounds like this really big, strong argument when it's really not.
Yeah, so why should I assume that the transmitter is making a mistake?
Why?
It's very clearly referring to
because we know the transmitters were making mistakes on this already. We already know there was mistakes done. We just don't know which ones were the ones that were mistaken. It could even be.
I'm asking about
according to you. One second.
The year of Al-Qas. Why should I assume?
I'm talking about Al-Qas, bro. I'm talking about Al-Qas.
Why should I assume that's a mistake?
Cool. Because right. I'm saying to you, the reason why you should, it's not an assumption. The reason why it is likely or plausible, right? Let's not even use the word likely, right? Because you're going to say my one is more likely. The reason why it's just as plausible that the Al-Tas guy, the Al-Tas tradition is a mistaken tradition and it's meant to be referring to Khaybar and the narrator made a mistake is because there are other traditions where the same thing happened. So we can assume that if someone made one mistake and another person made the same mistake and a third person made the same mistake, then it's a common mistake that people were making at the time. So therefore, we can look at one and we can say it makes more sense. One second. It makes more sense. It makes more sense that this one that sticks out like a sore thumb is actually meant to be talking about an event that is actually well corroborated, but the guy just made a mistake.
Yeah, okay. Just a minute. Do you think there was a genuine memory about the banning of Mutah on the day of Fath Khaybar, Fath Makkah?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So if there is a genuine memory of banning at the day of Fath Makkah and the year of Al-Tas refers to Fath of Makkah, and if the scholars take the authorial intent of banning at the day of Al-Tas being the same as the day of Fath Makkah, why should I assume otherwise? What's the reason? Just because some other people made some other mistake at some other event? That's a reason for me to forego the very clear authorial intent in this place? Like, how does that follow?
Okay. Yes, because there was disagreement from the same scholars that you're citing that the prohibition was at Khaybar, Umrat al-Qada.
Nobody disagreed that there was a
Tabuk, the farewell.
Nobody disagreed that there was a prohibition on Fath Makkah. Nobody disagrees with this.
Okay, that's fine, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Al-Tas. We're talking about Al-Tas. We're not talking about Fath Makkah.
And the year of Al-Tas is the year of Fath Makkah. That's how the Arabs did not disagree on this fact. The early memory of Am Al-Tas does not disconnect it from Am Fath Makkah. I just read to you Nawawi, like open. Just
that's
bro,
fine. That's fine. That's not the point.
We are talking. Just a minute. We are talking about authorial intent. Okay, just distinguish between two things. Keep the issue of mistake or no mistake aside. We can come back to it. What is the authorial intent, right, of the saying? Wouldn't you say that the authorial
of the Al-Tas one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Of the Al-Tas one, you're saying the authorial intent is to, because the conquest one is the most well corroborated and it's the same year and it says the same year, therefore it's most likely talking about the conquest. That's your argument. I'm saying if it's a mistake and the authorial intent was actually to talk about a different prohibition, one second, I know you're not asking about mistake, but it becomes part of authorial intent, because if he intended to talk about a different event, but he just misplaced the chronology, then it's his authorial intent, but it was just a mistaken transmission. It was a mistaken wording, a mistaken loft. Right, and this can happen because they're humans. Okay, and that's just as plausible, if not more plausible, because we know there was disagreement about it.
Am Al-Tas refers to Fath Makkah.
The same year as Fath Makkah, just a little bit after that.
No, man. Actually, it's even the conquest of Al-Tas was literally the Prophet conquered Makkah. and then sent the forces to Taif. That's literally, some people even just consider it as part of the greater Fath of Makkah. So it's not even like, let me finish.
Wait, when was Fath Makkah? When was Fath Makkah? What month was Fath Makkah?
Bro, what am I saying? Are you understand? Are you, just a minute. Are you understanding
repeat
what I'm saying?
Repeat what you're saying.
Okay. When right now you can say Fatah Makkah was year 50. I don't care. What I am saying is that the Prophet, the traditional narrative is when the Prophet conquered Makkah, did he not send forces to Taif?
Of course he did.
Yeah, exactly. So Ghazwa Awtas is Taif. The Awtas is a wadi near Taif, right? So some people, right, in general, if you just
but when did he send them? When did he send them?
When did he send them? Do you not know that? Literally, as soon as he got power over Makkah, he established forces, and the Muslim forces went over in matter of months or weeks to take over Taif. Is that not true? He's making things up. Well, is that not true?
So
you disagree with that?
So Fatah Makkah was in Ramadan, and
on the 8th.
Awtas, right? is Shawwal, which is
thank you.
It's right. It's the same 20th of Ramadan, and then Shawwal is in the beginning.
But it wasn't this. That's my point. Is that it was after
weeks apart, brother and sister.
Okay, that's fine. But he's saying it's okay. Great, fantastic. So it's not the exact same time. He's saying it's the exact same time. It's not the exact same time.
What brethren is saying is that. Wait.
Like now.
Yeah.
It's not
what he's saying
disingenuous.
is that Awtas is under the umbrella of Fatah Makkah. So Awtas would be included in saying Fatah Makkah. That's what it is.
It's cognitively connected to Fath Makkah.
It makes sense.
Wait, one second. Is Hunayn also connected to Fatah Makkah?
Bro, Awtas
is Hunayn also connected? No, 1 second. I'm asking you a question. Bro. Can you please answer? Is Hunayn connected? Is Hunayn connected, and does it fall under?
Not as connected as the conquest of Taif.
Okay, well then that's what I mean. That's why I'm asking. Well, you're sitting there saying, Leafy, you're
let me finish. If you let me finish. Now, why should I take if somebody is literally saying that the Nahi fi Am Awtas? Why would I jump and say it's fi Am Khaybar? Yeah, Ikhwan, did you read the Hadith? Have you had the chance to read the Hadith?
Which one? The Awtas one?
Yes.
Yeah, the Awtas one said, brother, the Awtas one is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Ibn Jurayj, can you show the Hadith once again?
Show it to me in Arabic. If you don't mind.
Yeah.
كبروا.
So here's the Hadith.
عربي.
In Arabic يا حبيبي. Okay. So it says Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba حدثنا يونس بن محمد عبد الواحد بن زياد أبو عميس إياس بن سلمة عن أبيه قال رخص رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عام أوطاس في المتعة ثلاثا ثم نهى عنها.
Okay, so he رخص, he gave رخصة for متعة 3 days and then he prohibited it.
So now, so now Leafy is saying that this is actually referring to not Fath Makkah. This is referring to.
No, if you say Am Awtas, it also could mean like it happened during Fatah Makkah. It's not a separate شو اسمه.
No, he's saying that it's actually referring to Khaybar.
Well,
when did Khaybar happen? In correlation to Fatah Makkah.
A year before.
It's not about. It's a year before, bro. It's. I don't know why you guys act on this.
So it can't be. So it can't be talking about Khaybar.
I don't know why, bro. Of course. No, it can be talking about Khaybar. The narrator can make a mistake, and he could be talking about Khaybar.
But how do we know he made a mistake? Like, what's? I think this is what you guys have been debating about.
We don't know. It's exactly. Well, that's the point. We don't know.
So, anything. Is there any other?
The question is what's more.
That,
1 second.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 1 second.
Now, the reason I
want to hear because I have a question.
Okay. The question is, what's more likely? Is it more likely that the hadith about Khaybar is what's it called? Is as he says, it's not historical, right? Because of the reasons that he gave, or is it more likely that the other co-transmissions made a mistake, like we know that they did, for other reports about when the Prophet was prohibiting mut'ah. Like some say he prohibited it in Tabuk, some say he prohibited it at Dhul Hijjah, some say he prohibited it at the conquest of Mecca, some say he prohibited it at Hunayn, some say he prohibited it at Al-Tas, right? So there's conflicting opinions, and not all of them are right. So I'm saying, just like those other ones could be mistakes, this one could also be a mistake, and it could be a co-transmission referring to Khaybar. And you can't refute that idea. That's that hypothesis. You can say it's not as likely. You can say it's not as likely. I don't believe that, but I can grant that to you. I can say on your paradigm it's not as likely. No problem, right? But for you to say that this is the only reconstruction possible, and every other reconstruction is cope, and all this stuff, that's just as nonsense. There are other reconstructions that are just as viable, just as plausible, and you just don't want to accept that because it refutes your argument.
Okay, you made your case, Leafy, and I want to hear Brethren's response. What was your response, Brethren?
Yeah. So
wait, hold on a second. Is that Delman? Wait, is that Delman?
Yes, I
Sure.
think.
Well, is that the real Delman?
Yeah, that's me, Saddam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you
Elias,
think? I want to know what he thinks. Have you followed the conversation so far?
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I left like 8 times and came back, so I'm kind of even lost on what you guys are talking about. I'm still trying to catch up. I wanted to join just because for vibes. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
We're
you could
talking
disagree.
about the.
Yeah, if you guys can elaborate, maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Let me tell once again. Let me give.
Hadith
the whole
really
thing.
isn't my strong suit either. I'll be honest with you guys. So,
Yeah.
but I
So we are talking
I
about
interviewed
the.
Josh a little.
Yeah, I actually watched that interview. It was nice. Good work. We are talking about this hadith transmitted by Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri about the banning or prohibition of mut'ah by the Prophet on the day of Khaybar along with donkey meat. And I am positing that it's very likely that this hadith is ahistorical because it doesn't have any prima facie, it doesn't have any corroboration. And whenever the early Sirah scholars mention the prohibitions at the day of Khaybar, they mention the prohibition of donkey meat, but they never mention the prohibition of mut'ah. The particular hadith that al-Zuhri transmits, there are other co-transmissions of that hadith, but without the mention of the day of, without the mention of mut'ah. They mention that, on the day of the Khaybar, the Prophet banned donkey meat. So all in all, it appears to be very unlikely that the Prophet literally banned donkey meat and mut'ah, and people transmitted the prohibition of donkey meat, but they failed to transmit the prohibition of mut'ah. And
Can I stop you right there? Just a quick question. This is just a quick question. When this hadith is being transmitted from teacher to student, for example, what is the likelihood that the subject at hand might have been dietary rather than something that had to do with mut'ah, right? Why not? Why couldn't the transmitter just say one part of it and leave out the other due to context, right? That's just my idea.
I told him this, but he'll just say it's not likely. He'll just say it's not likely.
But then we're just playing a probability game. But I'd say
exactly that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
But you have to reconstruct these hadiths beyond the text into their real life setting when these things are discussed, right?
If you could just let me finish.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, but we would expect it to feature in genres where that wouldn't be very relevant, right? So, for example, in the genre of Sirah, for the genre of Sirah, it's not like you need to mention the banning of donkey meat, for example. So why would it not feature in the genre of Sirah? That they are literally mentioning. Just let me finish, man. They are mentioning the banning of donkey meat, but they're not mentioning the banning of mut'ah. So why is it the case that one element is very highly corroborated, both in specific context and in non-specific context, but the other element is not corroborated and there's a bottleneck at only one person? What would explain that? Well, that's like the fundamental
I think this is a little complicated because that's exactly what I was going to say. There are a lot of things there's a lot of rulings that aren't included in the Sirah, that are included in Hadith. There are certain rulings in Sirah that are not included in Hadith. But the question is, what would explain the inclusion of the banning of donkey meat but the exclusion of mut'ah? Because I'm asking cognitively, like from a Sirah genre perspective, both the banning of mut'ah and the banning of
donkey meat is going to be equidistant to the genre, right? It's like not wholly.
Well, that
relevant to
depends
the
on
animal.
whether the transmitter remembers that day based off whether it was the day that donkey meat got prohibited or whether it was the day, Mutah got prohibited based off the
No,
context.
it's a much longer narrative.
Okay.
And yeah.
I'll let you steal, man. I'm not going to sit here and try to dismiss your argument or anything. I actually want to hear you. I'll let you continue.
Yeah. It's a much longer narrative.
Can I show that? Can I?
Yes. Go ahead, please.
All right, make my screen big real quick. So this is a different hadith. This is 14069. Okay, Allah's apostle and his companions to contract temporary marriage with the woman in the year of victory. So I and a friend of mine, Beni Salama, went out. We found a young woman, etc., etc. She began to look and found handsome, and then my friend. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, this is the one I was referring to.
Yeah, look at this. But then preferred to me my friend. So I remained with her for how many nights?
3 nights.
3 nights.
3 nights. And then Allah's apostle commanded us to part with them, such women. So he allowed it in the year of victory for 3 nights, and then it was banned.
Okay, but this is a direct command by the Prophet ﷺ. Once the Prophet ﷺ is gone.
No, that's not for you. That's not for you.
So we then reached the hadith.
No, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you guys to elaborate on something. I'm wondering what level the Prophet ﷺ's authority plays in this, right? This is a fair question to ask, in my opinion, at least. The Prophet ﷺ being there directly could tell a direct member of the companions if they're allowed to. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? If not,
this is coming in reference to a hadith which we were talking about, where it says that at the year of Al-Tas, the Prophet allowed it for 3 days and then banned it, right? And Leafy is saying that this
about the year of victory.
Yeah.
But so here's my main issue with the argument.
Wait, Dominic.
No, go ahead.
Can I explain to you my pushback to him? So he's saying that he thinks that because the report has a common link of al-Zuhri, and because it is, like he said, bottlenecked, and it's absent of co-transmissions for the particular element that he's speaking about Khaybar, right? And because he thinks it's more likely that someone would remember both elements rather than just remembering one and not the other, and on and on and on. He says, therefore, the Khaybar one is likely not historical. Now, I tell him, okay, that's one reconstruction, but there are other things you're not considering. For example, yes, most likely he could remember both, but like you said, he could just be emphasizing one prohibition over another, and the other ones are emphasizing another prohibition over another. That's plausible, right? Another thing could be that there are other reconstructions because there are multiple times where the narrators actually get chronologies wrong, and this is actually called out by the scholars themselves. There are actually 6 or 7 different times where the Prophet is said to have forbidden Mut'ah. It's likely that narrators made mistakes at one of these times, and therefore they could be co-transmissions that you're simply not considering, you're not willing to consider, because you've already ruled them out because they have a different date, but the narrator could just be making a mistake. And he says, well, that's very unlikely, whatever. But the fact is that still remains, and he hasn't considered that because it goes against his reconstruction. And then another thing is that he's saying, well, the ones that have the best thing being attested is the conquest of Mecca, and he believes, I think the farewell pilgrimage you said, right? The farewell pilgrimage and the conquest of Mecca are the ones that he thinks are the most well attested, because these are the ones that are sahih, right? But then there are other ones, like the one of Al-Tas, and he says the one of Al-Tas is likely referring to the conquest of Mecca. And I said, well, it could just be just as likely that the one of Al-Tas is referring to Khaybar. And then we start playing the probability game, and he starts giving me his reasons for why he thinks it's actually referring to the conquest of Mecca. And I start giving him my reason for why it could just as easily be referring to any other one, like Khaybar. And he's just not willing to consider that. So none of this actually is anything that it actually refutes the Sunni ilm al-Rijal, or shows that the hadith are unreliable, shows that Zuhri is unreliable, or anything like that. At most, you can say that narrators were, they just made a mistake. Or the chronology was muddled up and people forgot when it was prohibited, because it was prohibited maybe once or twice and people got confused, or it was prohibited 3 times and people got confused. So either way, it doesn't actually prove anything that he wants. It's not substantial, and he's just, I don't know, he just keeps going on and on about it.
Yeah, now brother, make your case for him, brother.
Yeah.
No, brother already made his case.
So from what I'm understanding, these are two, I guess, you guys are disagreeing on the reconstruction of this hadith based off the wording, right? Is that
no?
Am I correct?
It's about the
right
one
now
about
we're disagreeing over the fact whether there is a co-transmission for it or not, right? So a candidate that Leafy has brought, if you could just show it again, Ibn Jurayj.
Yeah, I saw him pointing at something I couldn't read.
Can you show it again, Ibn Jurayj? Leafy's candidate for co-transmission, right? So this is Leafy's candidate for co-transmission of the banning at the day of Khaybar. So let's read this hadith. Ikhwan, are you there as well? I want you to
and I'm saying the narrator made a mistake. And I'm
okay.
Which is not
what do you want?
Okay,
Can you guys
that's
hear me good?
By the way.
Yes.
We can hear you. So have you followed so far?
Yeah, so far I'm with you.
Okay. On the
Ikhwan, have you followed? Just a minute. Has Ikhwan followed?
Give me like a 30-second recap. I'm following, but I'm driving at the same time.
So there's a hadith. Yeah. So there's a hadith about the banning at the day of Khaybar, transmitted by al-Zuhri. Okay.
Sahih. Yes.
I said that there is no co-transmission for it. But co-transmission as in corroboration, as in nobody else has transmitted that Mutah was banned at the day of Khaybar. Okay.
Except for Zuhri.
Except for al-Zuhri. You are with me so far?
Okay. Yes,
now,
that is the common link. Okay. Yes, I'm with you.
Yes. Now Leafy says no, there can be a co-transmission. Okay. So he brings this hadith as co-transmission, i.e. as this one that we are just gonna read, as a transmission that corroborates az-Zuhri's claim that Mutah was banned at the day of Khaybar. Okay? So here's what this hadith says.
Go ahead, read it, Hassan.
It says, yes, Hassan.
Yes.
So this hadith goes ahead.
Reported on the authority of his father that Allah's messenger gave sanction for contracting temporary marriage for 3 nights in the year of Awtas, and then forbid.
Right? So now Leafy is saying that this can be a corroboration for banning at the day of Khaybar. Right?
And the narrator made a mistake.
And
the narrator made a mistake.
And the narrator made a mistake. Instead of saying Khaybar, he said the year of Awtas. Sahih, Leafy?
So he made a mistake of 1 year.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Yes. Now I am saying that this is, we don't need to, there's no reason for us to assume that the narrator made a mistake. Right? For example, let me tell you when we think people made a mistake. Like let's just imagine if, for example, if everyone was saying that, this thing happened in year 6, everyone's saying that, and somebody comes in and says, well, this thing happened in year 10. So we might say, well, this was a khata or a waham or whatever, right? Like that's how kind of we check for people making mistakes or not, right?
That's not necessarily true. No, that's not necessarily true.
I don't think that's true within a Sunni paradigm. Because we already
Dalman, from a Sunni paradigm, I just showed him Nawawi already, who is saying that al-Qas is the same thing as Fath Makkah, but he obviously doesn't accept that.
Well, that's a singular opinion. I don't see that reflected across
that is
multiple
reflected across
scholars.
No, it is reflected. I don't see any sharh of Sahih Muslim where somebody has taken another opinion.
Well, I think the broader understanding
they transmitted disagreement, bro. They transmitted Ibn Hajar.
On this particular
Oh, you're talking about this particular one.
Yeah.
I think pretty much. But that's not necessary. Wait, but why is that necessary? That's just you're just setting a false standard and then saying you can't meet it. I don't care. Why do I need another scholar?
I'm saying everyone understands al-Taz is referring to Fath Makkah.
Oh my God, bro! I'm not. That's fine. I'm saying al-Tas. That is a mistake.
Yeah, so
you
I'm
telling
saying
me everyone understands al-Tas, bro.
Yeah,
we're talking past each other. I'm granting you. Al-Tas refers to the year of Fath Makkah. No problem. I'm saying the al-Tas is a mistake. It's an error from the transmitter. He meant to say Khaybar.
Yeah, he meant to say. That's what I think. Brethren understands that. Yeah, instead of saying Khaybar, he made a mistake with 1 year and said al-Tas.
Okay, and prove me wrong. And I'm saying you can't prove me wrong. That's just as plausible as.
Yes,
wait 1 second.
Yes.
I'm saying that's just as. 1 second. Let me make my point. I'm saying that's just as plausible on your view that the narrator simply made a mistake and it's a co-transmission that you're not considering. And you're saying no, it's not plausible. It's not the same. Blah 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 for XYZ reason. I'm saying the reasons you're giving are not satisfactory. It's just as plausible. It's a 50-50 coin toss for you.
So now let me finish. Yes. So now he's saying there's a mistake that he meant Khaybar but he said al-Qas, right? Now, I am saying that that is pretty unlikely. Well, first of all, because why do we even need to assume that he said Khaybar? Like, what's the reason for that when there is a perfectly explanatory data that explains that, you know, it would definitely make sense for someone to say at Awtas, right? Because Aam Awtas corresponds with Aam Fatah Makkah. So that wouldn't be a problem. But there's an additional factor which Ibn Jurayj showed, which is that the particular formula of Rakhasa Salasa Ayyam, right? That is a phrase, or that general idea is something that's connected with the banning at the Fatah of Makkah.
Correct.
Did you understand what I said?
That's why I brought
that's
the
that's
the
good.
other hadith.
So does it use the term, the same term, rakhasa, tarkhis?
Yes.
Is there tarkhis in Fatah Makkah for 3 days?
Yes, for 3 days, yes. We just read
Okay,
the
then
hadith.
it's highly likely that it's talking about Fatah. If that's the case.
So that's what I'm saying. So
I mean, it's it's possible it's Khaybar and he made a mistake, but it's not as likely as it being Fatah Makkah. Yeah,
anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Nobody's saying it's not possible. The question is, why should we say it's a mistake? Like,
it's probable, yeah, 100%.
When there is a
that's,
specific
I mean, that's
context.
a stretch, honestly.
It's not a stretch, bro. You guys are just saying it's a stretch because it has the same word. It's not a stretch, bro. You guys are saying
honestly, Leafy, listen.
It's not a stretch. I'm being honest. You guys just
a question. Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. Was there tarkhis for Mutah and Fatah Makkah for 3 days? Is there something like that, Leafy? I don't know. I'm just wondering. Is there?
1 second, bro. Now the argument is he used the same word, therefore it must be talking about the same event. Is this the argument now?
No, because
no, that's not the argument. Yeah, it's more likely. Yeah, that's what we're trying.
Okay, wait. So he used the same word.
Wait. Let's hold on. I want you guys to explain what that point was, because I walked away with the same exact thing. You guys, okay? I basically walked away exactly understanding that how Leafy said it. So if that's not what happened, I need you guys to steel man that for me again.
Okay, Hassan. Oh, never mind. Anyways, was there tarkhis for Mut'ah and Fatah Makkah? This is
yes.
Simple question.
Yes, there was. There was, yeah.
Okay. There was. Was it also for 3 days?
Yes.
Okay. For Khaybar, was there tarkhis for 3 days as well?
Not that I've seen. No.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be for 3 days. That's fine. Doesn't have to be for 3 days.
Okay, now, Leafy, honestly, but is there evidence that at Khaybar it was permitted for 3 days?
Oh my God, Habibi, I'm telling you that this narration is, first of all, it's not uniform. The matan is not standard, right? And he's making a mistake because he's hearing things from different people that are contradictory. So if he mixes one thing from one thing and another thing from another thing, right? It's just as plausible that he's referring to Khaybar as Fatah Makkah. There's literally no reason for you to prefer one over the other. If you say, it's the same.
Of course.
Fine, let me say, there's no valid reason because your reasons are all invalid. You saying, it says 3 days and the same thing happened in Fatah Makkah. Guess what? I can get you a report saying the same thing about Tabuk that mentions 3 days. I can get you the 3 days motive from another report that isn't Fatah Makkah. Are you going to say it's just as plausible that it's referring to that one? So that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason.
1 second. Then it would be more probable. He's talking about he made a mistake about Tabuk more than Khaybar because we don't have evidence that Khaybar he said 3 days. Is there for Tabuk for 3 days? Akid, ya zalmeh. It makes perfect sense. Am I mistaken? Am I wrong in saying that?
You are wrong.
Leash, because we have more evidence. It's talking about everything other than Khaybar. Yes, it is.
So much more evidence.
You really don't.
Allah, so obvious.
It's not so obvious.
I mean, if you could bring something that says Khaybar 3 days, I could tell you maybe, now there's more probability it's talking about Khaybar, right? بس ما بعرف. I don't know. خليني اشوف الجي بي اس يا زلمه. صرعت راسي.